Howdy mates, good late morning. How are we all doing? It is Wednesday, April 20th, 2022. 420 baby, blazing. So today I'm actually over at the Oscar Scherer State Park, which is based in Osprey, Florida. And I know that I've already done multiple videos here in the past, but this is actually one of my favorite little spots in the state park. We're actually on the South Creek Trail right now. The South Creek is basically a brackish water stream. Is basically right across from me. We can actually see some red mangroves. And in due time, the South Creek will empty out into the bay nearby and then eventually into the Gulf. But this is one of my favorite features of the park just because, you know, we're in a hammock setting right next to a stream. And for those of you who have really followed my content for quite some time, you all know that I tend to always have an attraction to streams. I don't know. I guess if I was to consider my favorite element, you know, whether it's earth, air, fire, and water, my favorite would have to be water. Just because water, I feel, is the most humbling. Is water is one of the most essential compounds that we need to sustain life, yet it can also kill us too at the same time if it's been contaminated in some way or even a natural disaster. So really, we gotta respect the water in terms of her capabilities too. Needless to say, I do enjoy all elements, considering that in a couple of days it will be Earth Day. And my hopes are to actually make a video dedicated to Earth Day and perhaps even try to provide a service on that day as well. However, though, of course, I still have to go to work, but I want to try doing something after work on Friday. Because, you know, for someone who is a prospective naturalist, Earth Day is one of our favorite days to celebrate. So yeah, hardwood hammock. Characteristic of this type of habitat is usually a hammock is a bit higher in elevation. Even though really Florida doesn't have much of a varying elevation whatsoever. But even just a slight change, you know, whether it just be a half inch or even a couple of inches, it can automatically change the type of habitat that you are in. So usually with a hardwood hammock, since enough development, I don't mean like urban development, but nature's development, a hammock will of course have the most amount of palms and even oaks in addition. And sometimes, even in South Florida, if you're lucky enough, you may even see some maples too. Not saying Naples, maples, even though that sounds very similar. But yeah. Oh, here we go. Here's a nice little lesson right here. So I'm sure many of you have heard the common phrase of leaves of three, let them be. Looks like right here we're stumbling upon some poison ivy. Or it could even be poison oak. Honestly, I still sometimes even struggle to tell the difference. Needless to say, Many of you have heard the common phrase, leaves of 3, let them be. Hold on a second, you guys. Okay, going back to what I was discussing. Had to let a couple of people pass by. Usually, exposure upon, poison ivy, it's bound that you will experience some itching. That's just because the oils that are within this plant, they don't fully agree with your skin. Thus, it causes the itching. So it's really the oils that make your way into the pores that cause a person to itch. Now, just below that, you see those leaves of 5. The common phrase that I've heard associated with this plant is leaves of 5, let them thrive. This is something known as the Virginia creeper. I'm sure many of you have heard of this plant, of course. Though they look like, say the Ohio buckeye, my original home state, it's not the same plant. And Virginia creeper, once it has had the opportunity to grow, can actually act as a vine, especially among oak trees. Needless to say, though, even though we use the phrase leaves of 5, let them thrive, it is believed that Virginia creeper can still cause a skin reaction. It can still cause you to itch. However, not as severe as that of, say, poison ivy. So, when you do see both, still use caution, of course. Especially for those of you who have pretty severe reaction to it. Here we go. This was actually a video I did on this plant, on this flower, not too long ago. This is the coral bean. It's a native wildflower found in Florida. If you actually look at some of my older videos on YouTube, you can actually find my video that I made dedicated specifically to the coral bean. It was probably about 3 weeks ago, I believe, approximately. But it was actually along the Peace River, which was a great excursion, by the way. So, I think this is a good wrap-up point for you all. So I hope all of you have a chance to enjoy your Wednesday. And once again, Journey on a Journey is outwards. Take care, folks. See ya. Peace out.